The galaxy had grown quiet but not peaceful. Stars glittered in the void like scattered jewels, yet the silence was heavy with fear. The Xylar, a race of towering, chitin-skinned warriors, ruled the spaceways with unmatched power. They had conquered countless worlds, destroyed entire fleets, and their very name made civilizations tremble. Nothing in the universe had ever stood against them. Aboard the Oblivion, the Xylar's massive flagship, Admiral Kreth gazed at the endless expanse. Stars blurred past as the ship moved through the dark, and for a brief moment, Kreth felt a strange chill in his chest. He had faced horrors, rebellions, and creatures no other species could survive. Still, something deep inside told him that this calm was unusual. "It is too quiet," said Lieutenant Rahl, stepping beside him. "The galaxy should feel our presence, but there is nothing." Kreth's mandibles clicked softly. "Quiet means nothing. Fear is our weapon, and the galaxy already fears us. That is enough." For centuries, the Xylar had ruled through terror. Their fleets could crush planets. Their weapons could tear moons apart. Every species knew to obey. Every rebellion had ended in flames. Nothing had ever challenged them. Nothing, that is, until now. Far away, in a forgotten sector of space, a small human ship drifted through an asteroid field. Its hull was scarred from long journeys, engines humming softly, barely able to outrun danger. Inside, humans moved with purpose. Captain Mara Hayes checked the navigation panels again, her fingers brushing over the worn controls. "This system is supposed to be empty," she said. Her crew nodded silently. No one should even know they were here. Humans were small in the galaxy's eyes, fragile and insignificant, but they had courage that could not be measured in weapons or fleets. Mara stared out of the cracked viewport. She thought of Earth, her fragile blue home, vulnerable and distant. The stories of the galaxy's conquerors had always warned them to stay hidden, but hiding meant nothing if the universe itself could destroy her world without warning. She took a deep breath, her determination hardening. Unknown to Mara, sensors aboard the Oblivion had begun to detect something strange. Energy readings, propulsion patterns, technology that did not match anything the Xylar had catalogued. At first they dismissed it. Humans were primitive. But the readings persisted, impossible to ignore. Kreth's eyes narrowed. "Bring it into range. I want to see these humans myself." The Xylar scientists studied the ship and shook their heads. No weapon, no ship, no known race could produce such readings. The humans were fragile, yet somehow different. Kreth could not understand it, and that unknowing stirred something he had not felt in centuries: curiosity and unease. Meanwhile, Mara adjusted her course toward a derelict station, rumored to hold ancient technology. If humans could claim it, they might survive. They might even fight back one day. Her crew worked quietly, aware of the dangers, but trusting her instinct and courage. As the two ships drew closer to the abandoned station, the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. On one side, the universe's most feared predator, the Xylar, a force that had never known defeat. On the other, a small, fragile species, untested, underestimated, and unafraid to step into danger. Kreth watched through the observation window, sensing something unusual. Humans were unpredictable, their behavior unlike anything he had ever faced. That simple realization made his mandibles tighten. For the first time in generations, the Xylar felt uncertain. In the emptiness of space, an invisible tension began to build. Fear, which had always belonged to the Xylar, could soon belong to someone else. The galaxy had changed, though no one yet knew it. And in the heart of a fragile human ship, Captain Mara tightened her grip on the controls, ready to face whatever the stars held, unaware that her small act of courage would ripple across the entire universe. For the first time, the stage was set. For the first time, the mighty Xylar might meet something they could not control. For the first time, humans were about to prove that fear is never absolute. The human ship moved cautiously, weaving through the crumbling debris of the abandoned station. Every clang and shake of the hull reminded Mara Hayes of how fragile her crew really was. One wrong move could mean death in the cold emptiness of space. Yet, despite the fear, determination burned in every human aboard. They were explorers, scientists and dreamers, but they were also fighters when survival demanded it. Inside the Oblivion, Admiral Kreth's claws tapped on the console with quiet impatience. "They are heading for the station," he said. "Do they even know what they are touching?" His officers exchanged uneasy glances. The humans' actions made no sense. They were small, fragile, unarmed, yet they moved with a confidence that was impossible to predict. Kreth had faced cunning warlords, merciless pirates, and alien monstrosities. None of them had ever dared to act without fear. Humans did. "Scan their systems," Kreth ordered. "I want to know everything about them." The Xylar sensors hummed, capturing energy signatures, propulsion patterns, and the faint heartbeat of life aboard the human ship. The data made no sense. Their technology was crude compared to Xylar standards. Their shields were weak. Yet the readings revealed something unfamiliar: resilience, persistence, a strange kind of energy that defied probability. Kreth narrowed his eyes. "Bring them into visual range," he commanded. "I must see them." As the humans approached the derelict station, Mara felt a pulse of excitement mixed with dread. She had read the records of the station, legends of ancient weapons and technology, hidden within its walls. It was dangerous, yes, but it was also humanity's only chance. Her crew worked in silence, trusting her instincts. "Stay calm," she said quietly. "We only need to get inside. Once we do, we can analyze the technology and defend ourselves if needed." Suddenly, a shadow swept across the viewport. A massive silhouette, the Oblivion, appeared above them, blocking the stars. Mara froze, staring at the colossal Xylar flagship. It was unlike anything humans had imagined. Its blackened armor gleamed under distant starlight, and the sheer size of it made the human ship seem like a toy. "Kreth," one officer said in disbelief. "They are smaller than we thought. Shall we destroy them?" "No," Kreth replied, slowly, his gaze fixed on the humans. "Observe them. Study them. There is something different about them." Mara's crew braced for attack, expecting lasers or missiles. Nothing came. The Oblivion held its position, silently looming above the derelict station. Humans were trained for fear, yet now they felt something strange. Curiosity, not from themselves, but from the being that had never feared anything in the universe. "Inside, the human ship," Mara whispered. "Stay sharp. Do not underestimate them." Her voice trembled slightly, not from fear of death, but from awe. The Xylar were legends, monsters in the galaxy's history, and here they were, watching humans like spectators. Kreth observed quietly, noting every movement. The humans did not flee, did not beg, did not even show panic. They moved with careful purpose, calculating every risk. Kreth's mandibles clicked in thought. It was impossible. No species had ever acted this way under his shadow. Fear was instinct, and instinct had always bent to his will. Humans bent. Nothing. The derelict station loomed ahead, a rusted skeleton of its former glory. Mara guided the ship inside, sensors alert for traps or ancient defenses. They passed broken corridors, flickering lights, and empty rooms that had not seen life for centuries. Yet the humans pressed on, driven by courage and hope. Above them, Kreth made a decision. The humans were fragile, yes, but they were not weak. Something about their persistence sparked a curiosity and unease that he had not felt in centuries. Perhaps this species was different. Perhaps this species would change everything. For the first time, the Xylar realized that not all fear in the galaxy belonged to them. A tiny spark of doubt began to flicker, faint but undeniable, and somewhere deep inside the human ship, Mara felt it too, a silent, growing presence in the darkness. She did not know what it was yet, but she knew that the universe had just begun to take notice of humanity. The first encounter was over. But the war for understanding, survival, and courage had only just begun. The derelict station loomed like a sleeping giant, silent but filled with secrets. Mara Hayes and her crew moved carefully through its rusted corridors. Every step echoed in the emptiness, a reminder that time had long forgotten this place. The walls were cracked, the lights flickering weakly, but within the heart of the station lay something that could change everything. "Sensors are picking up strange energy readings," said Lieutenant Jarrow, eyes wide. "Whatever this is, it's powerful, unlike anything we've ever seen." Mara's heartbeat quickened. "This is why we came. Stay focused. We need to reach the central chamber." The humans pushed forward, their small frames dwarfed by towering machinery and broken consoles. They worked together, quietly supporting each other through the shadows. Fear whispered in their minds, but courage spoke louder. Every creaking floorboard, every flickering light, reminded them that the universe was dangerous and that they had to survive. Above, the Oblivion hovered silently. Admiral Kreth watched every move through the station's sensors, fascinated and disturbed. The humans moved through the ruins like ghosts, yet they were alive, resilient, unbroken. They were fragile, yet their courage radiated across the void. Kreth had never seen anything like it. "They are not afraid," said Lieutenant Vrax, his claws clenching. "Not even now beneath our gaze, how can this be?" Kreth remained silent, studying the readings. The energy emanating from the station pulsed with potential ancient power designed to be wielded by those capable. But it was reacting to the humans, almost as if recognizing them. His instincts screamed that this should be impossible. Humans were small, weak, and untested. And yet, inside the station, Mara and her crew entered the central chamber. The room was massive, lined with strange consoles and glowing crystals. At the center floated a device unlike any human technology, a relic from a civilization long extinct, humming with dormant energy. It was beautiful, terrifying, and alive in a way that humans could feel. Mara stepped forward, awe mingling with caution. "This is it," she whispered. This could protect us. This could give humanity a chance." As she reached for the control panel, the device reacted. Energy surged through the room, illuminating every shadow. The humans instinctively ducked and shielded themselves, but they did not flee. Instead, they adapted, working together to understand the relic, to channel its power carefully. Above, Kreth's eyes widened. The readings from the station spiked, unusual, almost impossible. The humans were not just surviving. They were interacting with the relic in a way that no other species had ever done. Something deep within the Xylar stirred. For the first time, he felt an emotion he could not name: apprehension. The humans activated the relic. Light spread through the chamber, touching every corner, every crystal. Machines, long silent, hummed to life. Energy surged outward, detectable even in space. Mara's crew felt it in their bones, a warmth, a strength they had never known. They were still fragile, still human, yet something had changed. Kreth watched from the bridge of the Oblivion, and his mandibles clicked sharply. He had conquered countless worlds. He had destroyed civilizations without hesitation. But this was different. Humans had tapped into something beyond technology or strength. They had touched potential, raw and unyielding, and it radiated courage back at him, challenging everything he knew. "They are not afraid," Vrax repeated, disbelief in his voice. "Not even now, with all this power before them." "How?" Kreth clenched his claws. "It is not their fear we feel, it is something else, something dangerous." The humans finished activating the relic. Light flowed outward like a heartbeat, and for a brief, magnificent moment the galaxy seemed to pause. The small human crew stood together, trembling, yet proud, as if the universe itself recognized their presence. The Oblivion remained above, silent and massive, a predator watching an unexpected spark of life that refused to be crushed. For the first time, Kreth realized that the humans were more than fragile creatures. They were unpredictable, resilient and powerful in ways the Xylar could not yet understand. And in that moment, a simple truth became undeniable. Humanity had awoken something the galaxy had never seen before. The stage was no longer equal. The fragile humans were no longer just explorers. They were a force that could not be ignored. And the universe, for the first time, wondered if the hunters might soon feel fear. The moment the humans activated the relic, the galaxy shifted. From the bridge of the Oblivion, Admiral Kreth's eyes narrowed. He had expected fear, panic, or submission, but the humans stood firm, glowing with the strange energy of the ancient device. Their courage was not loud or reckless, it was quiet, steady, unyielding. "They are stronger than they should be," muttered Lieutenant Vrax. "This defies logic. Nothing should survive under our gaze, let alone gain power from it." Kreth's claws tapped the console. "Prepare for confrontation, approach carefully. We do not yet understand them, but they are worth studying. Alive." The Xylar fleet, immense and terrifying, formed a shadow over the human ship. Hundreds of vessels, bristling with weapons, converged silently, their power enough to annihilate a planet. Yet as they drew near, sensors reported anomalies. The energy from the relic shielded the humans, creating patterns and pulses the Xylar had never seen. Missiles slowed, laser beams bent, and systems faltered inexplicably. Mara felt the change through the hum of the ship. "They're here," she whispered, her voice calm but firm. "They're watching, but we are ready." Her crew gathered at their stations, hearts racing but minds focused. The relic had given them protection, yes, but it also demanded understanding. It would not let fear dictate their actions. It demanded courage, creativity, and unity, the very traits that had defined humanity for millennia. From the shadows of space, the Oblivion descended, its dark hull reflecting starlight. Kreth's mandibles clicked as he issued the first order. "Show them our strength." The Xylar opened fire. Beams of destructive energy streaked toward the humans, slicing through the void with deadly precision. Yet the pulses from the relic bent the attacks harmlessly around the ship, dispersing their power into glowing arcs of light. Mara's crew watched, amazed and terrified. For the first time, they saw the impossible unfold before their eyes. They were surviving against a predator that had never known defeat. "Hold steady," Mara shouted. "We're not done yet." The humans maneuvered skillfully through the debris of the derelict station, each move calculated. The relic responded, amplifying their instincts and courage, shielding them, guiding them. Every time the Xylar struck, it was met with resistance, not brute force but clever strategy, adaptability, and resolve. Kreth's jaw tightened. No species had ever endured like this. No species had ever resisted. The humans were not machines, yet they acted with precision that rivaled the greatest warriors the Xylar had ever faced. Every attack they survived was a strike against his pride, a crack in the belief that nothing could challenge Xylar supremacy. Inside the human ship, Mara felt the weight of the moment. She was small, fragile, but she could feel the pulse of something, fast, something ancient and powerful, coursing through them. She glanced at her crew. "Together," she whispered, "we are stronger than we think." With the relic's energy, they struck back. Small pulses of energy formed into protective shields, then into beams that disrupted Xylar systems. One by one, the massive warships faltered under tactics the humans could not have learned in manuals or simulations. Their ingenuity and courage turned the tide. Kreth realized the truth he had been avoiding. Humans were unpredictable, resilient, and something more than any measured calculation. They were alive in ways the Xylar could not destroy. And in that realization, something unexpected stirred within him. Fear. It was subtle at first, a flicker, a tension in his chest. The galaxy had never taught him fear. Yet here, in the shadow of tiny humans, fear had found its place. The battle paused, not out of surrender, but because both sides recognized something new. A fragile species, a single human crew, had survived the impossible and struck back. The universe had shifted, and no one, Not even the mighty Xylar would ever see it the same way again. Mara stood at the helm, her heart pounding, her mind sharp. She knew this was only the beginning. The humans had awakened something, and the galaxy had noticed. Fear would no longer belong solely to the weak. It would belong to anyone who dared underestimate humanity. The battle had paused, but the air and space was thick with tension. The Xylar fleet hung like dark clouds above the derelict station, their massive hulls casting shadows over the small human ship. But something had changed. The humans were no longer just survivors. They were defiant, alive with a courage that could not be measured in firepower or size. Captain Mara Hayes stood at the helm, feeling the pulse of the relic beneath the floor. It hummed in rhythm with her own heartbeat, a silent rhythm of strength and determination. "We've survived the first strike," she said, her voice steady. "Now we show them what humans can do." Her crew worked with quiet efficiency. The relic's energy flowed through them, enhancing their reflexes, guiding their decisions, and shielding them from attacks. Every maneuver felt instinctive, yet it was more than instinct. It was courage shaped into action. On the bridge of the Oblivion, Admiral Kreth's eyes narrowed. He had studied countless species, crushed entire civilizations, yet the humans remained calm, almost serene, as if the danger only sharpened their resolve. The readings showed strength that should not exist in such fragile beings. "They adapt," said Lieutenant Vrax, his claws twitching nervously. "Every attack we make, they survive. Every strategy we use, they respond. It's unnatural." Kreth's mandibles clicked. "It is fear we feel, not from them, but within ourselves. Humans are unpredictable. They are dangerous." Humans activated the relic fully. Light erupted around their ship, casting golden radiance into the void. The Xylar fleet recoiled instinctively. Their attacks faltered, their weapons misfired, their coordination disrupted. The relic was not just shielding, they were channeling its power, turning defense into offense, strength into strategy. "Now!" Mara shouted. The humans released controlled pulses of energy, striking the Xylar ships in key systems. Engines faltered, weapons overloaded, and entire vessels were forced into retreat. The odds were still against them, yet their courage made the impossible real. Amid the chaos, Mara felt the weight of responsibility. She was small, fragile, human, but in her hands lay the power to change the tide. Every decision, every command, carried the lives of her crew and the spark of hope for all humanity. And yet, fear did not rule them. Determination did. Kreth watched from above, silent and calculating. He had faced invaders, assassins, monsters, and rebellions. None had ever endured like this. None had ever struck back with such precision, courage, and unyielding resolve. The humans were not just surviving, they were defying every expectation, and that defiance burned hotter than any weapon in the Xylar armory. "Prepare for full assault," Kreth ordered, though his voice lacked its usual certainty. "We cannot allow this to continue." But the humans were ready. Mara's crew anticipated each move, their actions flowing like water, unpredictable yet precise. The relic guided them, but it was their courage, their unity, and their refusal to yield that gave it strength. Each pulse of energy from their ship shattered Xylar confidence, leaving the invaders uneasy for the first time in generations. In the midst of the battle, Mara looked at her crew and whispered, "We are human. That is our power. They cannot control fear if we refuse to feel it." The Xylar were beginning to understand something crucial. For all their strength, all their domination, all their fear-inducing reputation, they had never faced a species willing to meet them without fear. A species small yet unstoppable in spirit, and in that realization the galaxy trembled. The humans were no longer just explorers. They were warriors of courage, bearers of a force that could not be crushed. Every Xylar in the fleet felt it, something they had never known: uncertainty, doubt, fear. The pulse of the relic continued, glowing brighter with every act of human defiance. The balance of power in the sector had shifted. Fragile, small, and underestimated, humanity had taken its first steps toward rewriting the rules of the galaxy. For the first time, the mighty Xylar knew that nothing, not fleets, not weapons, not centuries of conquest, could fully predict the courage of humans. And somewhere deep in space, a quiet truth formed. The galaxy had never seen anything like this before, and it would never forget it. The humans had survived. Against impossible odds, they had endured the first clash and awakened something ancient within the derelict station. But survival was only the beginning. Mara Hayes stood at the helm of her small ship, eyes fixed on the massive silhouette of the Oblivion above them. The Xylar had underestimated them once, but now she knew the time had come to take control. Prepare. The relic's energy pulses, Mara ordered, her voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. We're going to show them what humans are made of. Her crew moved with precision, every action synchronized, every thought clear. The relic responded to their courage, channeling their determination into strength. Where they were fragile, it was resilient. Where they were small, it became formidable. Mara felt it in her bones, the energy of something older than any human memory, flowing through their ship, through them. Above, Admiral Kreth watched, claws tight on the console. The humans were no longer defensive. They were preparing to strike. His fleet bristled with power, weapons ready to obliterate. Yet every sensor reading made his mandibles click in confusion. The relic's energy bent and deflected his attacks. Each attempt to intimidate the humans only revealed their unexpected brilliance. They plan to attack, said Lieutenant Vrax. But how can they? They are tiny, fragile, and yet they are human, Kreth said quietly, his voice hard to recognize. And that changes everything. Mara's ship surged forward, moving like a living arrow through the debris of the derelict station. Energy pulses radiated outward, striking Xylar vessels with precision. Engines faltered, shields overloaded, and systems sparked. The humans were small, but their courage had become a weapon. Every pulse, every strike, was guided not by fear, but by the strength of unity, by the refusal to submit. The Xylar fleet faltered. They had conquered countless civilizations, yet they could not predict this. They could not measure courage, ingenuity, or the indomitable will of a species that refused to bend. Every human maneuver was calculated yet unpredictable, flowing like water, shifting like wind, striking where least expected. Inside the human ship, Mara glanced at her crew. We can do this, she whispered. Together, we are stronger than they ever imagined. The relic pulsed in response, flooding the ship with golden light. It was not just a shield. It was a voice, a heartbeat, a mirror reflecting the humans' courage back at them. Every decision became sharper, every move more certain. Fear had no place here. Only resolve, only action. Kreth clenched his claws, sensing the tide turning. For the first time, the Xylar were unsure. The humans had survived, adapted, and now fought back. They were not just resisting, they were taking control of the battle. And the more he watched, the more he realized that he had never seen such fearlessness in any species, in any generation. Full engagement, Kreth ordered, though his tone lacked conviction. Do not underestimate them. Study them. Learn what they are. But the humans were already beyond study. They moved with the rhythm of the relic, their courage amplified by something ancient, something the galaxy had never seen. Pulses of energy disrupted the Xylar formations, scattering, ships like leaves in a storm. Mara's crew worked as one, their fear transformed into strategy, their fragility into power. For the first time, the universe felt the force of humanity, not brute strength, not endless numbers, but sheer will, intelligence, and courage combined. Kreth's voice was low, almost a whisper as he watched the humans strike back. They are not afraid. No, they were not. Mara could feel it in herself, in her crew, in the hum of the relic beneath their feet. Fear had been a tool of the galaxy, a weapon wielded by the powerful. But humans had no need for fear when courage was stronger. The battle raged. But the tide had shifted. For the first time, the Xylar understood that strength was not only measured in firepower or numbers. Sometimes it was measured in the heart, and humanity's heart had just begun to beat with unstoppable force. And somewhere deep in the void, a silent truth echoed. Nothing, not fleets, not legends, not centuries of domination, could ever truly prepare the universe for humans. The galaxy had changed forever. The void of space was alive with light and energy. The humans' small ship moved with purpose, glowing with the power of the relic, while the Xylar fleet faltered above them. Ships that had once struck terror across the galaxy now hesitated, unsure how to confront beings who did not fear them. Humanity, fragile and small, had become unstoppable. Captain Mara Hayes stood at the helm, her hands steady, her mind sharp. The battle had tested them beyond anything they had imagined, yet they had survived. They had adapted. And now, the universe watched as humans struck back not with sheer destruction but with courage, unity, and intelligence. "We've come this far," she whispered to her crew. "Now we finish what we started." Her crew nodded, eyes bright with determination. Every pulse of the relic's energy flowed through them, amplifying their will, their instincts, and their courage. They were no longer just humans. They were a force, a living proof that strength comes from more than size or weapons. Above, Admiral Kreth's mandibles clicked in disbelief. He had faced armies, monsters, and rebellions across countless systems, yet these humans defied all logic. They were not monsters. They were not machines. They were alive, fragile, and yet utterly fearless. The relic had amplified something already, within them, courage that no weapon could crush, ingenuity no fleet could predict, and determination that no empire could break. "Target their main ship," Kreth ordered, though uncertainty lingered in his voice. "Destroy it before it grows stronger." The Xylar unleashed their most powerful assault. Energy beams, missiles, and shockwaves tore through space, but the humans moved as one. The relic's golden light bent and deflected attacks, while the humans' strategy turned defense into offense. They struck at weak points in the Xylar formation, disrupting systems, forcing ships into retreat, and creating chaos in the once perfect fleet. Mara's heart pounded, yet she felt clarity amidst the chaos. "Together!" she shouted. "Focus! Your fire!" Energy surged outward, guided by the humans' resolve. One by one, Xylar ships faltered, their confidence shattered. The mighty fleet that had once ruled the stars now felt something it had never known: fear, and it was the smallest, most fragile species in the galaxy that had awakened it. Kreth gripped his console, realizing the truth he could not deny. Humans were more than mere prey. They were a new force in the galaxy, unpredictable, unstoppable, and courageous. For the first time in centuries, he felt the weight of uncertainty, the sharp edge of fear that no weapon could cut. The humans pressed their advantage. Pulses of energy radiated from the relic, spreading through the station and into the surrounding void. Xylar ships retreated, engines failing, weapons disrupted, formations broken. Humanity had survived the impossible, fought back, and emerged victorious, not because they were the strongest, but because they were fearless. Mara allowed herself a small smile. Her crew had endured, and together they had changed the balance of the galaxy. The relic hummed beneath them, a living testament to the courage that had guided them. Humanity's spark had ignited something far greater than themselves, a legacy of bravery, resilience, and hope. Kreth watched as his fleet retreated into the darkness. For the first time, he understood that domination was not absolute, that fear was not eternal, and that courage, raw, unyielding, human courage, could challenge even the greatest power in the universe.